done where you play fight?
I don't want to.
Oh, it's super fun.
I know when to go.
Oh my God, stop it! Damn it! Oh, sorry, you have to like fight back. Stop it! I said stop! Oh, sorry.
I asked you to move in with me. You said no.
But I can't.
You can. You don't want to. What do you do?
It's kind of hard to explain.
Because what you do is complicated?
Because I don't really do it.
So if you come with me.
Where?
Bathroom.
Really? We're still doing this?
Sometimes it's good to do what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it.
For Frances Ha, you collaborated with Greta Gerwig before you also co-write Greenberg with Jennifer Jason Leigh. Previously, you worked also with Wes Anderson on 2 movies, Live Aquatic with Steve Zissou and The Fantastic Mr. Fox. The question is, don't you like to work alone?
Well, I have worked alone too. I mean, I wrote Squid and the Whale alone and Margot alone. Well, I think it kind of depends on the movie. I think some movies feel more like conversations for me, like in the early stages. So I feel like it can best be discovered with this other person, you know, and others feel maybe more initially like private journeys, things that I feel like I have to kind of figure out for myself, and I wouldn't even know how to start the conversation with somebody else. And it really kind of depends on the movie, and I think I don't necessarily always know it right away either. I might start something alone and then say, oh, you know, would you come into this with me? Or, you know, or likewise start it with somebody else and think, you know what, I think I should write that by myself.
Yeah, well, Noah had asked me sometime after the movie Greenberg came out, which I acted in, which he directed and wrote, if I would be interested in collaborating on a project with him. And then he had the idea that we would collaborate on something that I could act in and he could direct, and he said that he was interested in something that would be based mostly in New York City. And I had been acting so much at that time, I had not finished anything as a writer. So I actually had all this material and all this writing and all these ideas, and I assembled a lot of it together and I sent it all to him and I said, here's some stuff. What do you think about any of this? And he really liked it, and then we really just started writing scenes back and forth and emailing each other, and from there this movie developed. But it started from very little. We really discovered it together and what the movie was. It's like making a cake. You put everything into it, but then at the end of it, I can't tell you where the eggs are. They're just kind of in there, and so there's parts of my life and Noah's life in the movie, and people we know, and things we've made up. And once it's all in there, though, it really feels like it all belongs to the movie and the characters as opposed to us.
How could you not want to date him? He's kind of magic.
Because I'm with Patch.
Patch is the kind of guy who buys a black leather couch and is like, I love it. What are we doing with our day?
I gotta get going around 5.
Just like in Woody Allen's movies, the characters in your movies are struggling all the time. I mean, they try to make the best of it and unable to realize their dreams, which is also the case with Frances Ha, I think. And why are you attracted to those kind of characters?
Essentially, that's what, you know, anybody goes through throughout their lives. I mean, I think it's a kind of essential psychological and emotional struggle for human beings is, is who we are, who we think we are, who we want to be, versus who we are, who we're becoming, you know. And it's not like it goes away, you know. You know, relationships change, life changes, you know, and even as we mature and, you know, think we're kind of in our lives, you know, which of course we are, but we think this is how it's always going to be.
So it's a lifetime struggle.
Yeah.
It is coming of age. It's a little late, but I think in some ways the idea of a coming of age story is something that happens again and again and again throughout your whole life, and that's why I think they're so universal, is because they happen at all these different points. That you're at pretty much any age you can think of, you're charged with the task of shedding an older version of what you thought you should be or what you want to be, and deal with what you actually are or what's actually in front of you. And I think that happens at 12, I think it happens at 30, I think it happens at 58. I think it happens all the time, and I think people aren't always their best selves when things are hard. And I think Frances acts like a child because she feels utterly powerless against the forces at work in her life, and instead of responding as a rational adult, she becomes almost manic and can't help herself.
Is there any particular reason why Frances is a dancer and not, for example, an actress or a writer?
Well, I love dancers. I know a lot of dancers. I've never been a professional dancer, but I've always found their stories, particularly modern dancers, to be incredibly compelling and also heartbreaking, because even if you do succeed, the rewards are so small. And I think a dancer, as opposed to a painter or a writer or an actress or a musician, a dancer really does have a time limit in the way that athletes have time limits, and the expiration is kind of in your mid-20s, and if it hasn't happened by then, it probably won't happen. And I think one thing in the film that we explore is that there's not a time limit. Being a choreographer has a much longer life, but that being a dancer in that way is you kind of see it ending, and
there's a kind of a deadline.
There's a deadline, there's a terminus, and I think that one of the themes in the film is that is approaching at the same time as her friendship with Sophie is unable to sustain itself. So it was two things that worked in youth, but not in adulthood.
Greenberg, your previous film, was filmed in color, and it was shot in LA. Now it's in Frances Ha is shot in New York, and it's in black and white. First, why you chose for black and white?
Well, I think in some ways, I mean, the real honest answer is because I selfishly just wanted to shoot in black and white. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while, and I thought, screw it, let's just do it now. Of course, after you've made a movie in black and white, I've been forced to articulate and come up with answers and analyses of something that was really intuitive and, like I said, selfish. But I think, as you mentioned, because Greenberg, Los Angeles was very much a part of Greenberg. I mean, and the photography was really, in many cases, about the location. I mean, we shot it in widescreen, which sort of feels like LA. The light, the color of Los Angeles is so particular. And Harris Savitas, who shot the movie with me, we watched all these LA movies. We were very much in that headspace, and I think Frances was in a way a coming back to New York for me, both from a movie making perspective, but also I'd been spending a little more time in LA previously, and I kind of was missing New York, and I think shooting in black and white provided me with new eyes in a way. It was like a way to see the city in a new way, even though I know it so well. So it's like it's familiar and unfamiliar at the same time, and I think that was useful for me. It kind of put me in a good headspace.
But for you, what's the main message?
I don't think there's a main message. I mean, I don't think in terms of messages. I mean, I really was trying to document a time in life, and it's a portrait of this person. I think if you do that well, the sort of bigger, reverberations happen. Then people can say, oh, I like that it says this, or it becomes a document of a generation or something like that. But I mean, I wouldn't even. I don't think I could start even typing if I thought I was going to, try and either say something in any kind of bigger way, because those things take care of themselves. But I mean, I think, going back to what we were talking about before, about the sort of psychological and emotional aspects of the character in this kind of story. I do think it's this idea of having to, what you have to give up in order to move forward, and it can be immensely difficult and painful to let go of things that we are familiar with. I mean, you think these are the things that kind of almost make you, and so then to have to let go of those things with no guarantee of something happening for you. I think that's a kind of huge thing, and and a necessary thing for us. And I think in Frances's case, I think it's kind of heroic, and so. It wasn't maybe so much of a message as much as that I think what I wanted to present was this kind of, this journey is heroic.
Heroic because at the end, the choice she made is, I mean, you would think we're not
well, yeah. I mean,
tell the end, but
well, it's almost like the one thing Greta and I talked about was almost like it's the romance of practicalism. That. Exactly. We don't normally think of compromise as romantic, or grand or heroic. But I think for human beings, it can be.
Just wanted to ask you something about the previous movie To Rome with Love, you played in the Woody Allen.
Yes.
Suppose you have learned from the master about how to write and how to act.
Yes. Well, he was the one who kind of gave us the idea to only give actors the scenes they're in. He does that with his actors. You only read the part that you're in. And so in Frances, we took that idea and we only gave people the parts they were in.
And how did that work? So you just picked up the phone and called Mr. Allen and he gave you advice?
Oh, no. I just imitated what I saw him do on set. No, I don't. Okay. I don't have him on speed dial.
If you have to choose between acting or writing,
well, luckily,
which one do you prefer?
Luckily, I don't have to choose, but I think I might. It's hard. It depends on the role. If it's a great role, then I would be sad to give up acting. But if there are no good roles, then I would rather write.
Okay. So one day we will see your name on the big screen with director Greta Gerwig.
That's the plan.
That's
I hope.
Plan?
Yeah,
okay.
I hope so. I have to say a film by Greta Gerwig. Yeah.
The movie is full of quotes and lines that make you think and at the same time make you laugh. And I've picked some quotes.
Okay, great.
And I just wanted to present to you to give your opinion, your reaction about it. The first one is when Frances Ha is asked her roommate, do I look older than I am right now? And I'm 27.
Right.
His answer is no, but 27 years is old though. So where did you get that line from? Because it's.
I think no one ever said that to me, but I do think 27 was the first time I ever heard anyone. It was like up until 27, everyone says, you're so young, you've got so much time. And then all of a sudden you're 27 and everyone's like, well, you should probably figure this out. And it was like it happened overnight. Yeah. And I felt like it was just I was sort of just echoing this idea of it's the first time in your life when you're not young.
Yeah. Okay. Second quote is when Frances says, "I'm not a real person yet." It's a real famous quote in the film because she doesn't have a credit card.
Right.
Where did you get that line from?
That line was, in some ways, it's that line is people bring it up all the time, and in some ways that line was almost when we were writing it. I think I wrote that line. It was almost a throwaway. It was just like a joke she says, and then sometimes you're writing a line that feels quotable, and sometimes you realize after the fact. And that was one of those that I thought, I should just say this.
And for me, at least, the funniest line is when Frances is smoking a cigarette in an apartment and saying, "I feel like a bad mother in 1987." That one was for me the funniest one.
Oh, good. That was, I don't know. I don't know where that line came from. It just seemed like the weirdest description of what she was doing. And I think Frances sometimes has turns of phrases that are, it's like you hear them and then you have to think about them right after she said them, like, what is it that she means? Okay. So, yeah.
Okay, Ms. Gerwig, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks so much.